Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Now, please, can I have your attention, please, for the father of the groom, Mr. Paul Jacobs.
Father of the groom?
I'm in for the bride, I'm in for the bride.
Nice one.
Three wives.
Sacked. Scott, Shani, our fabulous new twin scoopers. Grandparents and indeed great-grandparents, parents, sons and daughters, beautiful grandchildren, and to you all, our very newly extended wonderful family and friends, as the very proud father of the bride, not the groom, it's my total pleasure to welcome you all here today for this truly memorable and deeply happy occasion, Shani and Scott's wedding. Thank you so much for joining us here at this romantic and charming venue for Shani and Scott's meticulously planned and executed wedding day. And I know that you will agree with me that they've not only perfectly captured the essence of the happiest day of their lives, but have also stamped their own endearing and fun-loving characteristics upon the wedding theme. Your warm and loving presence makes this day perfect, and I know that Shani and Scott feel totally overwhelmed to be surrounded and embraced by all of the people that they love so much and who have had such a positive influence in shaping them both to be the perfect and wondrous specimens of humanity that they've become, clearly achieved in no small part to their equally wondrous parents. I know that it's traditional to commence the father of the bride speech by declaring that our daughter looks breathtakingly beautiful today. And whilst I'm aware that I'm not exactly unbiased, Shani really does look utterly gorgeous and spectacular, and you do. Nothing truly prepares you for the heart-stopping sensation of seeing your own daughter, who will forever be your baby girl, walking down the aisle, fully emerged as a complete and stunning woman, not only visually, but far more importantly, as the very kind, caring, loyal, intelligent, adorable, and marvellous person that she's become. Shani's very name is translated from the Hebrew meaning for beautiful, Shana. And to us, she's always been a Shana Maidel, a beautiful girl. Even though it's a beautiful name in every sense, Shani hated it when she was little. Why can't you change my name to Kylie or Madonna or Sunita or something, she used to moan. Whilst I was writing this speech, I glanced at a photo on my desk of my mum, Shani's Nana Francis, smiling and holding a glass in the air, as if she was saying, "Have a wonderful day, my Shandles." And that name, Shandles, is what Shani grew up being called. A perfect and unique name, just like our perfect and unique Shani. Your mum and I are intensely proud of you, Shani, and your equally flawless brother, Jonathan. You're both the source of immense and never-ending pleasure to us, and we love you beyond words. Now, many of you will know of my love for music, so it has come as no surprise that I did toy with singing the full version of Sunrise Sunset today, which I know would have been an unforgettable experience for you on so many levels. Reading the lyrics nearly caused me to drown my computer keyboard, and you know how it goes. Is this the little girl I carried? Is this the little boy at play? I don't remember growing older. When did they? When did she get to be a beauty? When did he get to be so tall? Wasn't it yesterday when they were small? See, you remember it, right? Now close your eyes. Imagine me singing it in my distinctive and perfectly pitched voice. So you're filling up, I'm sure, at the sound of it. It's true, however, time passes incredibly quickly. Now, before we go any further, I must share with you, when she was little, Shani's excitement in advance of Christmas immediately heightened when the Coca-Cola advert appeared on the television. Holidays are coming, holidays are coming. Only Shani heard and then sung repeatedly, "Hummer days are coming, hummer days are coming." To this day, the moment I hear the advert, I text Shani, "Hummer days are coming, babes." So how appropriate that Shani and Scott should choose this year's Hummer days to get married. Now, if we could have got Shani's favourite childhood pop star, Carmelli to have sung it today, that would have been very memorable. For those of you who know Shani well, and there are some today who have known her forever, you'll be well aware she has just 2 speech volumes. Decibel splitting and asleep. This has been the case since she was born, and somehow the mastery of the art of whispering has evaded Shani. As I'm sure that her poor pupils will endorse, many of whom have to attend Shani's lessons with discreetly fitted earplugs for the sake of their physical well-being. There can never be any doubt when Shani's entered the room. All of the signs of her vocational leanings were in clear evidence when she was a little girl, from the foul-smelling gunk-filled perfume experiments that she created in her toy test tube set, which we were not allowed to throw out. "Don't touch my experiments." To her uncanny ability of slamming and occasionally smashing glass-plated doors in the house to establish the limit of their strength. Shani's always had a passion for knowledge, even at a young age, coupled with an insatiable determination to master any task that she sets out to accomplish, which, according to several close family members, Jonathan, has unfortunately not been extended to her driving skills. I still wake up in a cold sweat from the recurring nightmare that was the terrifying experience of teaching Shani to drive, as she rhythmically steered her car in a dazed-like trance towards oncoming traffic, a technique that can only be described as metronomic. Shani, however, does possess so many other admirable qualities, not least her laser-like focus and resolve to achieve whatever it is that she's trained her sights upon, whether it's passing exams, becoming a teacher, gaining a promotion, buying a house or planning a wedding. Once Shani's decided she wants something totally and completely, it happens. She's amazing. This determination to get what she wants helpfully creates a neat segue to the subject of our new and lovely son-in-law, Scott, who singularly and unwittingly became our daughter's most sought-after object of desire. Scott, if it hasn't occurred to you before, you had no chance whatsoever from the moment that Shani guided you around Loughborough University's campus on that fateful day. This wedding was a done deal even then. Now, I must tell you that our entire family absolutely loves Scott. He's a great guy. Clever, funny, respectful, good-looking and delightful. What's not to love? He's a total credit to Joan and Lance, our new and much welcomed in-laws, and we couldn't be happier that he's become our son-in-law, apart from the fact that he has an appalling affection for Chelsea, of course. Yeah. It was clear from the very earliest days of Shani and Scott's relationship that they had fallen head over heels for each other, as visibly demonstrated to us when Scott decided to remove Shani's chair from beneath her as she was sitting down at the table when he first stayed at our house, thereby causing her to bang her head on the floor. Such an endearing exhibition of love for each other, bless. This random and inexplicable act of slapstick humour was recently repeated when Shani and Scott decided to try a Strictly Come Dancing move at home and Scott accidentally dropped her on her nose. Now, aside from any latent ambitions that Scott and Shani have to run away and join a circus, we've yet to work out the reasons for these random and strange acrobatic occurrences. It is clear, however, that Shani's love and affection for Scott has continued to increase, but the concussive effects of these incidents have resulted in her being unable to recall why. When Scott joined us for his first holiday experience on a cruise ship, it was immediately apparent that he was perfectly suited to his chosen profession as a quantity surveyor, emphasised by his impressive ability to assimilate information of variable levels of interest to those around him, regaling us with his knowledge that Azura weighed in at 115,000 tonnes, held 3,100 passengers, 1,250 crew, and the exact details of the volumes of food by weight and variety prepared on board, Scott had also clearly set himself a man versus food mission to diminish the food stock as urgently as possible. It was a momentous task, but one that he trained and psyched himself up for, and this was his moment. Scott's ability in demolishing almost the entire breakfast buffet, balanced precariously on one very large plate, was an extraordinary and awesome sight. We'll never know for sure, but perhaps this heroic act totally cemented our daughter's dreamy love and admiration for Scott. Both Shani and Scott possess a great love and appreciation of the joys that create a great life, particularly the ability to laugh out loud, which makes them such an utter pleasure to spend time with. We, in turn, love you totally, Shani and Scott, and your wedding today confirms what we've all known from the very beginning: you're made for each other. What a wonderful day to share your absolute joy and happiness as we all join together to wish you only good health, luck and happiness for your future lives together. May your greatest dreams come true, and we all wish you everything that you wish for yourselves. Please, everybody stand, raise your glasses, and join me in wishing the fabulous new Mr. and Mrs. Cooper many, many, many congratulations and a hearty mazel tov. To Scott and Shani. Oh. It's now my great pleasure to hand over to the groom.
Thank you. Oh, wow. Okay. That's my wallet, yeah. Yeah, come on. Paul, that was fantastic, thank you. Okay. Hello. Okay. Good evening. Thank you. Paul, thank you very much for that amazing, heartfelt speech. I always knew following Paul would be a hard task, which is one of the reasons I got Adam to introduce us all. Get that bar nice and low.
Play my part.
He played it fantastically, mate. Well done. Okay, firstly, I'd love to say on behalf of me and my beautiful wife, Shani Cooper, how much pleasure it gives us to share this special day with you all. There are many people here who've travelled from very far away. We've got people from Portsmouth, the Isle of Wight, Devon, Chester, Leeds, Glasgow, Norway, Hong Kong, America, and Milton Keynes. Of course, there are some very special people who unfortunately cannot be with us today. My Nana Janet, my granddad Ron, my granddad Tom, my auntie Linda, and Shani's Nana Francis. We think about them every day, and today is no different. We're sure they're looking down on us and joining in on the celebrations. And so I'd like everybody to be upstanding and to raise a toast to absent friends and family. Cheers. Okay. Cheers. Cheers. Okay. Thank you. I'm sure you can appreciate the level of planning that has gone into today. And like most good men, my contribution has been focused on quality over quantity. After all, I did perform perhaps the most important task of all when, 12 months ago, on one knee in our back garden, in my underpants, with a rose between my teeth, I put the ultimate question on a very, very, very cold December morning. Following what seemed like an age, Shani finally looked out the window and screamed yes. And at that point, she made me the happiest man on earth. Shani has put a lot of effort into everything you're enjoying today. Her maids of honour, Francesca and Victoria, and her bridesmaids, Grace and my sister Lynn, have been there all the way to support her. I think you'll agree that they all look absolutely stunning today. Francesca and Victoria are basically sisters to Shani. They do everything together and they speak every day. What surprised me most, however, was just how little they talked about this wedding, going for periods of up to 10 minutes between conversations. Gracie is Shani's fashion idol, and in Shani's eyes she can do no wrong, and she's definitely one of the coolest kids I know. The friendship Shani has with all of her girls is a beautiful thing, and I couldn't wish for better sisters-in-law. My sister Lynn is the most caring person and a fantastic mother to Josh and Finley. I know Shani appreciates how lucky she is to have you as a sister-in-law. And so, I would like to propose a toast to the bridesmaids.
I love you.
And my helpful assistants will hand out some small gifts of our appreciation. Okay. Fine. Okay. And so now we move on to my ushers. Certainly not as beautiful as Shani's bridesmaids, but like all good friends, they're always there when you need them. Ross, my brother and best man, has always been my older, cooler brother, in his opinion. He's always up for a laugh, and he did a fantastic job organising my stag do, which is surprising given his poor timekeeping. In fact, we actually told Ross the wedding was yesterday, just to make sure he arrived on time. From a young age, I admired him and wanted to copy him. Looking back, however, I think that admiration was a bit one way, seeing as his loving nickname for me was Lard Boy, owing to my potato-like physique. Adam and I have known each other since we were 5 years old, and no matter how many times I don't return his calls, I haven't managed to get rid of him yet. I've been friends with Ollie and Michael since school. We used to walk home together every day. We aren't always the best at keeping in touch, but when we meet up, it kicks off like nothing has changed, and that inevitably involves one of Ollie's boring stories. Some of you may not know that Michael and I actually shared the honeymoon suite last night, and in many ways it wasn't that different to sharing with Shani, other than the fact Michael snores less and cuddles more. Shani's brother Jonathan is a fantastic bloke and a great father to his daughters Lily and Maisie. We've gotten on well since the first time we met, and I really couldn't have wished for a better brother-in-law. And so I would like to give out some small gifts. Okay. Where's Ross? Yeah, I'll tell you what, we'll do this at the end. We'll crack on. We'll crack on. Don't worry about the gifts. Yeah. Okay. Now I think you'll agree the real showstoppers today are our beautiful flower girls, Lily, Maisie and Libby, and handsome page boy Josh. I think they all deserve a big round of applause. Okay. A special thank you has to go to our parents, Jackie, Paul, Joan and Lance. Without their financial support, none of this would have been possible. Jackie, Shani's mum, has always been so welcoming to me. Her relaxed nature meant I instantly felt at home in her house. This often involved raiding her kitchen cupboards, which, as a Weight Watchers leader, always had a healthy supply of past sell-by-date Weight Watchers bars. Unfortunately, no matter how many I ate, I never lost any weight though. Last year, Jackie was kind enough to let Shani and I live with her while our house sale went through. We really appreciate her hospitality, and I couldn't wish for a better mother-in-law. Meeting Paul all those years ago was a daunting task, a sharply dressed businessman who truly adores his daughter. However, it didn't take me long to realise Paul was big-hearted and that all he wanted was for his daughter to be happy. At first, I thought his love of playing his entire music collection to me, with him in full verse and completely out of tune, was some sort of weird joke he played on all new boyfriends. However, after 10 years, the joke is still in full swing. To my parents, Joan and Lance, thank you on behalf of everybody here today for the amazing job you did in raising your son. Ross really is a top bloke. I would like to thank you for everything you've done for me over the years, but I couldn't possibly begin to cover it in this short speech. I know that you adore Shani and that you look forward to welcoming her into our family. And I've never forgotten a comment my mum made many years ago when she turned to me whilst getting to know Shani and said, "She's the female version of you." I think at that point she knew Shani and I were more than a short-lived romance, and I know she couldn't ask for a better daughter-in-law in Shani. Okay. Moving on to the grandparents now. Of course, I have to extend a heartfelt thank you to Shani's grandparents, Jack and Carmel, and to Lou. Thank you for welcoming me into your respective families. Shani and I would love to give some small gifts of our appreciation for all you have done for us over the years, in particular the legendary salt beef sandwiches. You good with that? Yeah? Yeah. Come on. Okay. Yeah? You give that over there. And, okay. Oh, sorry. Wow. Okay. Now, I know we have a birthday girl in our presence today. And Betty, one of my parents' closest friends, has unfortunately had a very tough year. And so we would love to give her a small gift. Okay. So don't worry about the others. I'll give them out. Okay. Okay. Shani was born in the June of 87 and I in the May of 88. And according to Shani, I've been behind on my to-do list ever since. I've been fortunate enough to have spent the last 10 years with Shani. We met at university in Loughborough in 2006. Our first date was to a place that remains special in our hearts. I always knew the way to bag a top-class lady was to wine and dine her. So a table for two at TGI Fridays with nachos to share was my effort at that. And it must have done the trick, as 10 years later, here we are. They say that behind every great man is a great lady, and Shani certainly is that. I'm still working on becoming great, though. Shani is the rock by my side. She always manages to put a smile on my face. From her love of singing along to every song on the radio, despite the fact she never remembers the words, to her ability to burn everything she tries to cook. I really do think she's the female version of me, and that I'm the luckiest man in the world to marry my best friend. And so I'd like to pass you over to my brother and best man, Ross. Is that all right? Cheers, mate. I thought I'd hand out the presents after. It was getting too stressful.
Check, mic check. Okay. Can everyone hear me? Okay. That was, I've got to say, that was a tough act to follow there, bro. And you really got me in the fields, man. Oh.
If I'd done it was that long, I'd have put 40 minutes.
Yeah, I think pretty much everyone's lost the sweepstake. Okay, right. Okay. So, yeah, okay, I'm ready. Those people in the room that have seen me deliver a speech before are no doubt fearing the worst right now.
Have you got all the pages?
Yeah, I've checked. But for those who haven't, please can I politely ask you to lower your expectations for the next 10 minutes or so. Anyway, I'm sure you can imagine how delighted I was when Scott asked me to be his best man. No, seriously though, I was terrified. Needless to say, this is not the first time today that I've stood up from a warm seat with a piece of paper in my hand. Far from it. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ross, and believe it or not, I'm Scott's older brother. I like to think of myself as living proof that sometimes you only need one take to get it right. So what's it been like being Scott's older brother? Well, I'm sure you'd agree that you could never tell by looking at us, but Scott is an awkward question-raising 10 years younger than me. It means I had to endure the inevitable cussing from my immature schoolmates about what my mum and dad had clearly been up to, and about my bro being an accident. I remember thinking to myself at the time that surely getting a new baby brother couldn't happen accidentally. For the record, my mum says definitely no, it can't, and that's good enough for me. But our age gap means I have vivid memories of the entirety of Scott's life. From wiping his tiny baby balls when I changed his nappy, which you've got to do that. My sister Lynn making him wear dresses and heels as a toddler, through to his first day at school, followed by the awkward, mostly loveless teenage years, and then beyond to uni and adulthood, where he was lucky enough to meet the lovely Shani, who I think looks absolutely stunning today. You really do. I don't propose to bore you with a detailed history, but perhaps you could indulge me a quick jog down memory lane so I can give my brother a hard time for a bit. A clear memory of the early years of Scott's life was his initiation ritual with new trousers and shorts, known in our family as the bends. The process involved testing whether or not the garments were able to withstand the considerable pressure exerted by his rear end when he bent over. Not something that many kids would really think about, but my bro, both being chunky and a sensitive soul, most definitely did. This test was performed at a variety of family occasions, such as Christmas and birthdays, and also became a tradition when packing to go on holiday or starting a new school year, much to the amusement of my mum. For some people, the smell of sun lotion or an old beach towel reminds them of holidays, but for me, it would always be seeing Scott try and bend over in a pair of ill-fitting swimming shorts. As an older brother, I felt I owed it to Scott to ensure that he did not grow up to be a geek. And I figured the best way to do this would be to toughen him up by making him watch a variety of Jean-Claude Van Damme movies from a very young age. So when his classmates were drawing pictures of Thomas the Tank Engine and Fireman Sam, my bro was crudely sketching scenes from Kickboxer, Bloodsport, and No Retreat, No Surrender. "Why have you drawn a picture of a man wearing gloves, Scott?" his primary school teacher probably said. "They aren't gloves, they're bandages dipped in resin and broken glass. He's preparing to fight the ancient way." Never mind learning about sharing and honesty, my bro's young, impressionable mind was schooled in the importance of getting revenge, whatever the cost, of shooting first and asking questions later, and of course, always holding your Desert Eagle sideways. So what was Scott like as a school kid? Well, it probably won't come as a surprise when I say that he didn't bring much to a game of five-a-side football. Not that I did either, mind you, but at least he always had a lot of tasty treats in his lunchbox. He was a kid who tried his hand at a lot of things, but never really mastered any of them. He experimented with lame, rebellious music, such as Slipknot, Korn, and Linkin Park. He had a rollerblading and skateboarding phase, but the ollie always eluded him. And like most kids, he spent a lot of time on his trusty N64, honing his skills on Mario Kart and GoldenEye, both hands firmly on his D-pad. It was during his school years that Scott met many of his closest mates that he's still good friends with today. Dale, Hopkins, Ollie, Howie, Dogkins, Raj, Dumpy, Gaz, Alex, Millen, Bareface, Sleepy, Grumpy, Tinky Winky, and of course Papa Smurf. They may have had stupid nicknames for each other, and for the record, I did make up a few on that list. But they're good guys, and they played a big part in Scott growing up to be the well-adjusted man he is today. Dale, in particular, is responsible for most of the underage drinking that Scott got up to. something which I'm sure my mum is really thankful for. Although, to be fair, she still calls him her number 3 son. So what nickname do you think they would give the fat kid in their gang? The answer, somewhat surprisingly, is Badger. Apparently this is because he has black hair, a pointy nose, and had a bit of a fat guy waddle at school. So what kind of mischief did Badger get up to at school then? Well, like most middle-class kids from Surrey, I'm happy to say it was predominantly pretty low-grade shenanigans. Okay, he did get suspended once for poking a kid in the eye with a highlighter, but it was legitimate payback for that kid putting drawing pins on Scott's chair in Spanish class. And I hear that he also decided to do some redecorating in his art classroom once by chucking round cans of paint. but I think you could argue that showed artistic flair. Now, there's one other story that his friends told me about that draws upon a part of Scott that is ignored at your peril. It's a subject which necessitates me lowering the tone for a bit, unfortunately. You see, there's no delicate way to put this, but at some point during his formative years, Scott developed a flatulence problem. And to say it was a problem is to seriously make light of the situation, for it really was and still is a living hell. There is a saying about feeding a man a fish and he can be happy for a day. Well, you can feed my bro just about anything and he can create a stink that will haunt you for a lifetime. Rhymes like whoever smelt it, dealt it, just don't apply when it comes to Scott and letting off. For one thing, there's no question as to who dealt it. But more importantly, if my bro drops one, there's simply no time for rhymes. You need to stop whatever it is that you're doing and get the hell out of there immediately. Got a decent spot on the sofa at Christmas that you were guarding with your life? You'd let it go in a heartbeat. When Scott let rip, I mean, you have to breathe at some point, right? Well, that fart would still be there waiting for you. Like the Terminator T-1000, what my bro created could not be killed. It was brutal and relentless and had to be avoided at all costs. So you have to feel sorry for his unfortunate classmates when he let rip on one occasion in science class. I'm reliably informed that it was so bad, they literally had to evacuate the area. A lab technician was even called in because they thought there might have been some kind of noxious chemical leak or a drain problem. Rumour has it that lab technician completely lost his sense of smell that day. Maybe even his mind. Let's fast forward a bit and we come to a phase I like to call big hair. Well, really it was a time when Scott tried out a variety of styles, but the big hair look was unquestionably the best. Why he decided to time that with getting a new passport photo taken, only he knows. But at least he managed to liven up many a bored passport control worker's otherwise uneventful day and make them realise that it could be worse. It was a decision that he spent the next 10 years regretting. This was a time when Scott was starting to exercise regularly, and helpfully he was also growing upwards faster than he was able to expand outwards, and so was starting to look like a very different guy indeed. With it being the noughties, though, it was no longer sufficient to just rock out the high fade look that had sustained me and my friends a decade earlier. No, he had to invest more time and effort than that, and so he decided to grow his barnet. Given the curly nature of his hair, which he'd unhelpfully inherited from our mum, this meant he had to shamelessly borrow our sister's hair straighteners to try and tame things. He also started using serious hair products. Some, like Dax, I'm not even sure were street legal. They were great if you needed to clean oil off aquatic birds or underseal a car, but they were most certainly not suitable for putting on your head. But the end result of ceramic straighteners, a lot of hair product, and an obsessive-compulsive level of determination is epic volume. Part Japanese manga character and part Sideshow Bob, Scott really did stand out from the crowd, which, to be fair, was actually really helpful at 3 a.m. in a jungle rave. So it was around the time of Big Hair that I first noticed Scott's obsessive-compulsive side. And I understand his mates had been exploiting this for years already, when they realised he wouldn't eat anything that had been on the floor, even if it was still in its wrapper. Feeling hungry and like the look of something in his lunchbox, all you had to do was knock it out of his hands and it was yours. Simples. But I first noticed this when it came to his obsession with household security. The upside of this was I always knew my back door was definitely locked shut when we were on a night out together. For the record, that was not a metaphor. But it meant I had to endure... But it meant I had to endure a painful ritual every time. Have you locked the back door? Yes. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Well, don't you think you should just check it? No, not really, but okay. But I never did, because I knew he'd only check it again himself either way. We both knew this. And while he was there, he would double-check my shed, car, garage door, side gate, gas hob, every single window and plug socket, and then also that my cat flap was locked. Apparently that's how a lot of car crime is committed nowadays. Anyway, we'd be lucky if we made it to wherever we were going before it shut, but at least I knew without any doubt that I wasn't going to be burgled. Although I was in big trouble if I somehow lost my key. Thankfully, though, once we were a few pints into the evening, Scott would also be looking after my keys, wallet, and phone for me, so I could relax and focus instead on getting hammered. So you know, Loughborough Uni was where Scott and Shani first met. Like many kids, Scott went to uni thinking it would be an opportunity to meet lots of girls, to have fun, and not worry about settling down. He even read a book called The Game, which was full of help. Don't know if you've heard of it. Which was full of helpful advice on how to go about this. It all sounded pretty complicated, I have to say. A few months in to his first term, and there was the awkward realisation that it was actually a lot harder than he'd realised, and he'd probably wasted his money on that book. Fortunately, love works in mysterious ways sometimes, and his and Shani's paths crossed. And despite a disastrous early date, where Scott cooked mac and cheese and then ate too much of it and had to send her home so he could go to sleep, they hit it off. I will never forget the first time I met Shani, mainly because she was dressed as Super Mario. And she and my bro were having a barney about something in the street. I don't know if it's because I'd had 10 Jaeger bombs by that point, but it was hard not to laugh at the sight of an irate Super Mario laying into a sad-looking cardboard robot. Outside a kebab shop, whilst in the background the Incredible Hulk was puking his guts out, next to a wide-eyed Obi-Wan Kenobi who looked like the Force really was flowing through him. That was the kind of night out that can only happen at uni, and if your relationship can survive that, then I reckon it can survive just about anything. Okay, I'm conscious that I need to wrap it up as time is ticking and the dance floor is not going to embarrass itself. Scott, I just want to say that I know a lot of siblings who argue and fight, and I can't believe how lucky I am to have you as a brother, because that certainly is not true of us. You're always there for me, to give me advice, or cheer me up, or simply to have a laugh with. It's no exaggeration to say that you're my best friend as much as you are my bro. I respect and admire everything you've achieved at uni, at work, and now with the fantastic house that you and Shani are creating. You have made your entire family very proud. And Shani, I feel so excited to be gaining you as a sister-in-law. I know you make Scott truly happy. You can see past the fart problems, the OCD, the belly, to the caring and fun-loving guy beneath, the guy that I am honoured to call my brother. So, I would like to propose a toast to the bride and groom, which, okay, we've already done, but could we do it again? To wish you a long and happy life together. So, yeah, please be upstanding. So, to bride and groom, Scott and Shani.
Is that it?
That's it. It could have been worse. I could have ribbed you more.
Cheers, bro.
I took it as our...
God.